Thank you, Giora. I used to work for RF Feingold. Daisy was indeed a great company. Is Hanan here? Just want to make sure our next speaker is about to come. "20 years ago was actually the very beginning of the startup nation. It was the time when the venture capital industry was formed by the Israeli government, started. Gemini, Ed Malawski's Gemini being the first Yozma fund. And the MIT Enterprise Forum was started by Yona Shamir, Shlomo Mital, who's here, and Dr. Chaim Alkalai, the head of the Alums organization. And the first event was an Enterprise Forum event about success factors in high technology. Since then, we've been nurturing entrepreneurs in high technology in a number of ways, through workshops, events such as this one, direct consulting, and many other ways. We have a lot of very positive comments on our sites, which you are welcome to read, and you're welcome to come and consult with us on whatever we do. In a nutshell, what we do is we sit down together with the entrepreneurs and we figure out what are the main challenges they're coping with. And then we arrange a meeting with a number of consultants who are not just any consultant, but they would be people from the best places that have to do with a particular company. So this can be a marketing person that sells to the same market. It can be a venture capitalist if they're interested in gaining access to capital. It can be a legal person if they want to learn about patent law, etc. Yuval Rothstein, who's standing over there, is the head of our consulting, and you're welcome to talk to him during the break. We have a fantastic team on stage today, and we have great entrepreneurs who we could not invite because we only have 4.5 hours. Our first speaker right now will be Yael Karov. Is Yael here? Yep. Yael has an outstanding professional and academic record of 20 years in the field of natural language processing and machine learning, as well as a successful track record in commercial launch of innovative products to the market. Prior to founding Ginger Software, Yael joined Rosetta Genomics, serving as CTO and Vice President Research and Development. Prior to Rosetta Genomics, Yael was the founder and CTO of Agentix, a company specializing in free text classification of e-commerce product information based on natural language processing. Yael served as the Director of Research and Development of Click Software, where she founded and led the R&D team of Nestle Technologies in the development of a product based on a solution to a combinatorial optimization research problem. She is the inventor of co-author of over 30 patents and the author of numerous publications in leading computer science journals. Yael, please.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Yael Karov, and I'm the founder and CEO of Ginger Software. Ginger now has two actually sub-companies. We are just splitting it into the maybe the company you know for consumers who speak English as a second language, Ginger Software, a product that helps users to correct their English as they type it in any mobile application, browser, or office application, and to get rephrasing for their sentences. And the second startup that I started about 1.5 years ago within Ginger is an open platform for the development of personal assistants. And I'll talk about it a little bit during the talk today. So the topic I wanted to talk about is spoken language understanding and what is its future and trends. So what is spoken language understanding? This is the ability to speak naturally with your device, your mobile phone or your computer or any other device, and ask practical questions like when is my next bus, or what is my bank account status, or to place day-to-day commands, like to set a meeting or set a reminder. So this ability is an enabling technology for virtual personal assistants, a very hot topic in the last 2 years, where all the big companies in the world are actually busy with building, either they have a personal assistant or for consumers, or they are developing personal assistants, and there are maybe now about 100 of startups that develop personal assistants for specific domains or verticals. So why are VPAs so hot in the last years? It's the first. So the first slide it skipped was a mobile day with a revolution of mobile devices that exceed now PCs. So with mobile devices, you have a small screen. Obviously, it's very inefficient to fill in forms for doing practical things. Like, for example, you want to order tickets for the cinema. It takes you 10 minutes instead of 7 seconds that you could say, I would like two tickets to the movie Love next week, next Thursday at 7:30. And then you can get your command done with a spoken interface in just 5 seconds instead of spending 10 minutes on filling forms, submitting them, and so on. The second reason is the driving time. When you are in the car and you cannot get to the web and do some actions, but you can talk to your device and get things done. So that's the first reason. The second one is wearable devices. So wearable devices currently it's only really for early adopters, but in a year or 2 or 3, everyone is going to have it. So the big companies all are either delivered already or are working on, for example, wearable devices like smartwatches or smart eyewear, where you can, the smart actually watch is just like, basically it has most capabilities of your smartphone, but you can, without a spoken interface, you will not be able to, to text messages, emails or SMS messages. You will need to speak to your device and say that you want to send a message. You will not be able to control your device. Imagine glasses that you have and you want now to take a photo, and whatever you currently see, you just say immediately, take a photo. So that's just one example of controlling it, but imagine any other things that you would like to command your device, and the smaller the screen is, the harder it is to use traditional UX for that. The next reason is just imagine your grandmother when she wants to record a video, instead of saying, of using the current technology, she can say, always record Seinfeld for me, or show me the next episode of Seinfeld, and then it will just understand it and do this. So this is not science fiction. All these examples are currently either delivered or under work in the big companies. So what is the future of virtual personal assistants that are enabled by spoken language understanding? So the first thing is control any device and any application or web service with natural language voice commands. We are not there yet. Currently it's possible to control only several tens of commands. But eventually it's going to be a standard part of any UX combined with a visual UX. It's going people are going to control any web service with voice. For example, a shopping assistant. If I would like I'm standing in a shop now and I want to compare the price, so I'm just looking for a silk purple shirt in the prices of $100 to $200. I don't want to start searching for shirts and browsing and doing 10 minutes of a session to get to what I want. I want just to say it with maybe a very exact specification and maybe get a question back to me if I wasn't specific enough until I find what I want. I would like to order my takeaway or a supermarket list while I'm in the car, and I do it just with 5 seconds. To do all my errands, basically, pay my bills. Just imagine that, you ran out of gas, so there's no reason. All the technology is already here today that you can say, I would like to order gas, and that's it. It doesn't need to ask you again about your payment methods and your customer number, and you don't need to wait on the phone for that. All travel, find or order hotels, flights, search for attractions. Navigation, you want to stop at a gas station, or you're looking for a Japanese restaurant at a certain price range around your way from the office. So that's for basically for consumers. And for call centers, so a lot of the requests to call centers are going to be routed to automatic answering VPAs that will handle the requests, and also the BI, just an automatic analysis of all the requests to call centers. Some companies have hundreds of million requests to the call center per month, and they want to see what are people complaining about, what do they want, and so on. So if you know how to record, to transfer the speech to text and to understand what users wanted, you can do this, offer this BI. So this is the future, but what is the presence? You know, what is the status today? So first, for consumer applications, the big companies, Google has Google Now that gives you dozens of commands that it supports. Apple has Siri, Samsung has S-Voice, and big companies today work on their own virtual personal assistant that is going to be delivered in the next year. But there are a limited number of commands that are supported. So as I say, dozens of commands by the big companies, and the small companies, all the startups, choose one vertical. For example, they take travel or finance, and then they support less than 10 commands within this vertical with a lot of manual work to support it. The current limitations are the speech accuracy. As most of you, if you tried to dictate your emails, for example, you will see that the speech accuracy is not good enough. It's very far from 99% accuracy. And the understanding is also limited, because usually most companies tailor a rule-based solution that if the user said that, then it means that you should understand that. And rule-based solutions cannot really converge and cover all commands. And the last problem is a massive manual work per command. So that means that it's not a scalable approach. It's to get from tens of supported commands into millions of supported commands. It's not just repeating the same process that is done today and scaling it up. You need a different approach in order to solve it. For businesses, Ginger is today the only player that offers an end-to-end solution, a personal assistant for any business, where we have our own speech engine and understanding engine. And what we do is we are working towards an open platform for the generation of personal assistants, where currently we give it as a service for businesses with the goal of delivering it in about a year as an open platform for personal assistants, where the user can just, he doesn't need to have any background in natural language processing. He can build his own personal assistant. So that's the future. What is the history? Let's start with the roots. So the holy grail of artificial intelligence is considered to be the Turing test. It's the test where a user is sitting in front of the computer and he doesn't see whom she's talking with. And on the other hand, you can have another human, or you can have the computer. And if for 20 minutes the computer tricks the person and let him think that it's a human he's communicating with, then the artificial intelligence field is considered to be like to achieve its original goal that was set tens of years ago. We are still far from this ability. So currently, if you will develop a conversation with a computer on any subject, then if you limit yourself to practical things, maybe you will go through 2 or 3 minutes. But if you open the conversation to any topic, then not only we are very far from it, but actually it's not in the focus of industry or research today. No one almost is working on this. Instead, what does the industry and academic world work on in natural language processing, which is a wider field of spoken language understanding? So the first topics are spoken language understanding. Speech recognition became very hot because of the small devices. Query understanding, just understanding the text, structuring it. Dialogue management means understanding where you are in the dialogue. A dialogue is not just one question you ask and one answer you get, but that you can, after, for example, a personal assistant helped you with a shirt you wanted to choose, when you say, actually, I want the blue one, then it understands that when you say, when I want the blue one, you mean the blue shirt, because you mentioned the shirt before. So it's managing your state in the conversation with a memory. And questions and answers technology and virtual personal assistant. So all these domains that were hardly under work 2 years ago and Apple was a pioneer when she bought Siri. Speech recognition was under nuance, but there were not many companies working on it, and now this became very hot. Other topics of natural language processing or understanding are machine translation, where the trend is speech-to-speech translation instead of just texting it. And search, obviously, and it's an old one. Grammar checker and rephrasing is the first startup of Ginger. Classification, automatic classification, when you see an article in the newspaper, what is the topic? Sentiment analysis, when users refer to certain products, did they refer to it with saying that they like it or that they dislike it? When you analyze automatically, for example, social messages, and you want to see if your brand is rising or it gets bad feedbacks. Information extraction, where you are looking for specific information in specific type of sources and automatic extraction of this information. Automatic summarization, like Samly, that was sold to Yahoo. It's a mobile application that summarizes long articles for you so that you can view them on a small screen without the need to scroll. Or entailment and deduction, which was actually started by Ido Dagan, a professor at the Bar-Ilan University in Israel, that started the whole domain in the world, which means that the computer can drive conclusions from text that it read. It can get into a new conclusion that was not mentioned in the text. So if I need to summarize the trends of spoken language understanding, so the scope is practical actions and not a social conversation or anything emotional. It's the control of any device, especially small ones, and it's a scalable solution that support eventually any practical question or command on device, not just with an internet connection, support any language and accent, which is currently not done. Currently it's mainly English and not foreign accent. Personalization to the user by crawling his history. The technological trends are statistical processing of big data instead of rules, using web data and social data, and analyzing recorded user queries, which is considered to be the gold. So Apple so far recorded most of the queries, but Google now is also they have a lot of data, and having a lot of data with users speaking to devices. Users speak to devices in different ways than they speak to people. So recording this data and automatic analysis of this data is also considered to be a very hot domain. Do we still have time? Or? Okay. So maybe just one last slide about the technology of this domain. So spoken language understanding requires a speech recognition engine that transcribes the audio into text strings. So this is relatively a very old domain, tens of years, but the new trends are how to automatically optimize a speech recognition engine to the most probable usage scenario. So if you know that the user is going to ask about certain amount about certain domains, or you will give a command from a limited type of commands, then you can optimize a speech recognition engine to give better accuracy when the most probable behavior of the user is performed. Query understanding engine is relatively a new topic from the last years. It's to extract the command type. When I say something, you should, for example, schedule a meeting with Mr. Brown for next Thursday at 9:30. So to understand that what I want is to set a meeting, and what are the parameters, what are the slots of the meeting, the time, the participants, the topic, and so on. And it's amazing how many ways there are to do any command, like scheduling meeting. So there are thousands at least of ways, if not hundreds of thousands of ways to express any command. So it's not really scalable to list all the ways to do that. So what Ginger is doing, for example, then we crawl the web. We crawled over 1.5 trillion words from the web. We build semantic graphs on top of the web that understand each topic. For example, the word meeting, what are all the possible actions I can do on meetings, what are all the possible parameters of meetings, and so on. And then when the user speaks, we don't need to build manually all the rules that helps us to understand what he says, but we can statistically derive conclusions from the semantic graphs over the web. And this gives us a scalable solution where we can quickly add intents in a week of work instead of a year of work, what is currently done industry. And the last component is dialogue management. Is given that you understood each query, how do you make a reference between the queries and understand the overall goal of the conversation and which items the user referred to in previous queries? Okay, thank you. Bye.